This meeting is being recorded.
The table has been set, so take your place. There is no more condemnation, there is only grace. Growth Radio, Gospel Radio, our way to heaven. We are sons and daughters of the King. We are sons and daughters of the King. Growth Radio, Gospel Radio, our way to heaven. One king and one kingdom making people feel like family. Yes, my daddy is the best.
Growth Radio is growing with a new program, Who's Your Daddy? Every Sunday evening from 6:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. Daddy Business. Who's Your Daddy? Every Sunday, 6:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. on growthradiott.com. Good evening, Growth Radio listeners. We are so glad to have you. Good evening. Wherever you are listening to us from, we are excited to have you on Who's Your Daddy tonight. We have an exciting guest all the way from across the seas. And, I always am very, very grateful to have you are listening to us and choosing us on a Sunday evening every Sunday from 6:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. And I want to continue to say thank you so much for your support. Thank you so much for all that you do, however you support Growth Radio. We appreciate you. And, we say that we want to be able to help others in whatever situation they're in. And you've heard it before, the gospel is free, salvation is free, but to take the message of salvation across the seas takes resources. And so we want to say thank you in advance for all that you do to support us in that venture, in actually taking the good news across the seas as part of the Good Commission. You are doing your part when you support us. So thank you. And we are airing in Trinidad and Tobago. We are in South Trinidad and Tobago. Growth Radio TT is in South Trinidad and Tobago. We're in Santa Flora. And wherever you're from, you can send us a little message. We're on Facebook, we're on YouTube. You can tell us what you think about the program, what you'd like to see. Give us some suggestions, give us some recommendations. Tell us what you think about the Who's Your Daddy show. And even if you have a daddy, everybody's got a daddy. What about your daddy? Why don't you come and tell us about your daddy? We'd love to hear from you, okay? Give us a call or write to us at support at growthradiott.com. We would love to hear from you. So without further ado, we want to welcome and introduce to you our guest of the evening. And he is a very special individual for many reasons. And bear with me while I tell you a little bit about him. It's quite a mouthful. So this individual, he's an associate professor in the Department of Psychology, Education, and Physical Education. That is at the Faculty of Humanities in Notre Dame University in Lebanon. He's also the academic advisor and physical education sport major and the former manager of the Notre Dame University FIFA CIS Sport Management Program. I did say, bear with me, people. This is a mouthful. Forgive me, okay? This individual also has a BA in physical education from the University of Balamand. He's a FIFA master. He's got a FIFA master in sport management, master of philosophy in sport history from the De Montfort University, and a doctorate of philosophy in sports sociology from Grenoble Alpes University. He created, listen carefully, this individual, this person, this human created created the world ranking of countries in elite sport. Let me say that again. This individual created the world ranking of countries in elite sport. the goal of which is to give an accurate evaluation of the performances of all the countries participating in all the internationally recognized sports. He is also the fitness and assistant coach of the Lebanese junior men and women futsal national teams and a member of the coaching staff of the Lebanese mixed martial arts national team and a consultant for the International Mixed Martial Arts Federation. All right, people, ladies and gentlemen, may I introduce to you no other human like this on the planet, the one and the only, Dr. Nadim Nassif. Welcome, Dr. Nassif, to growthradiott.com.
Thank you, Miss Broom. Thank you, my sister from Trinidad and Tobago.
Yeah.
Thank you, Growth Radio, for inviting me. I can already feel the good vibes of this radio. I think you're helping many people. It looks like, and it's typically you. You have so much good vibes.
I
so
see.
it shows. It shows in the radio and it shows in this show.
Ah, interesting.
So, thank you for the presentation.
You're welcome.
That's special, but
oh, you don't know you're that special yet after all this time, Nadim?
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, from Growth Radio to you, we want you to know that you are special to us. Okay, and you know very well that you are special to me. Nadim, he just said that he's my sister. He's not my sister. He's not my brother in Christ yet, but he is my brother. He is like family, you know. And yes, even in my household, he is regarded as family. My mother adopted him as well. You know, she loves this boy. Oh gosh, and and I love him too. You know, he is a very special friend. He is my best friend from college. And that was, I think, what, 20 years now?
20 years ago.
20 years ago, right? 20 years ago, we met at college and he made quite an impression the first time I saw him, and he continues to make an impression on my life and my existence. I love him very, very much. And today, you know, this evening, it's really a pleasure to have my friend, this scholar, this professional, this creator of the world ranking system with us at growthradiott.com, talking about himself. Maybe it's an aspect of Dr. Nassif that perhaps a lot of people don't know. I don't know how much he speaks about this personal side of him, but he is a professional through and through. And so I don't know how much of his personal life he actually shares with the public. So I'm really grateful, Nadim, that you accepted our invitation to come to share with us this evening. Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure, and I'm honored by your invitation.
All right, nice. So this is the program. This is the program, Who's Your Daddy? And tonight we have the pleasure of asking Dr. Nassif, Dr. Nadim Nassif. Yes. Dr. Nassif, who's your daddy?
My daddy. My daddy is a scholar as well. I mean, he's the main scholar of the family. He grew up. I think he was born in 1944, so he's 77 now. Still very active.
Good.
He was born in a middle-class family that lost all its money, so he had to work hard in school to get scholarship to get out of poverty. He was among the best students in Lebanon. It's not. He was ranked in the top 10 in the Lebanese baccalaureate.
Wow.
He went to do École Centrale in France, in Paris, and then he got. He could have continued as an engineer, work in Saudi Arabia, like many Lebanese of his age. He could have become a millionaire, but he did not. He did not like that. He really felt that he's better he liked to communicate with people, so he wanted to go to education. So he got a full scholarship in Harvard to do a PhD in computer science. So he went to Harvard and he got his PhD there. in applied mathematics, not computer science, applied mathematics. Then he came to Lebanon, was enrolled in American University of Beirut, which is the top university in the country. Still now is in the top 3 in the Middle East, this university. So he taught there. Then the civil war arrived in Lebanon from 1975 to 1990. So it was a tough time. I was born in 1979, so I was born during the civil war. So I saw him teaching in AUB, and then the Lebanese currency collapsed, and he had to do other jobs as well to make ends meet. Then we went to France after the civil war, 1990. Then he came back, and now he's still teaching in AUB. He's 77. He's a professor. He's still teaching in AUB. Still teaching, still doing a lot of research.
Yeah.
I think when I see him, because he comes in the summer to my house, and I see him once a week. When I see him doing research 2 a.m. in the morning, he doesn't stop. He's a very hardworking, very honest man, very loyal to his family, very loyal to his belief.
Sounds like somebody I know.
No, but he's more loyal, I think, because even politically, he's loyal to certain people, and even if they do mistakes, he still backs them.
He forgives them.
Something I feel it's maybe he's naive. I sometimes call him naive, but it's also loyalty.
Wow, that
He
sounds
has
awesome.
a lot of loyalty.
That sounds like some very, very, those are very awesome, very noble qualities. And
very Christian, by the way. Excuse me, very Christian. He's like you, Charisse. He prays a lot. He really. I don't know if he has exactly the same interpretation of faith, but he's very, very Christian. That's what he prays, and he's loyal, faithful to Jesus, and
okay. That is great, Nadim. That's a great man. It sounds like a great man. So, all of these things that you are telling me about your dad, he grew up from his beginnings and going through the good, the bad, and the ugly. It seems like life got, life just came, and that's what life does, right? But even in the midst of all of that, he still rose. He still rose. Today, he still rose again. How did that frame your perception of your father? How did that make you feel about your father? How did you start seeing your dad after we went through all of those different hardships and then coming through those hardships?
Hard work and resilience. I think hard work and resilience. I think I don't think when I see him and when I talk to him, maybe he's not the smartest scholar in the world. He's good. He's smart. Obviously, to do a PhD in Harvard, you must be smart at one point.
Oh, yes.
I think he's maybe one of the most hardworking ones.
Yeah.
And I think, I don't know, myself in my career as an athlete and then as a scholar, I wasn't the most talented one, but I was also one of the most I was, maybe some people say I was the most hardworking one.
Yes.
As a scholar as well, we work very hard. My father never complains, so I never complain. So I took this from him. I don't like to complain.
Yes.
That things are difficult, I never hear him saying things are difficult.
Wow.
He just even now, Lebanon was hit by a big economic crisis.
Yes.
Since 2019. So when he was 75 when the crisis occurred. So I never heard him complaining. He has put all this money in the bank, money for us, and he never complained. So,
wow, because he would have lost that. He would have lost all
we lost. I mean, I don't know. It's still uncertain. Our future is very uncertain with the money in the bank.
Right.
But still, he never complains. He never complains. So
that is That's an incredible human.
He has this.
Yeah, and I can see the fruit doesn't fall far from the tree. Because you're speaking about your dad, you know, at 2 a.m. in the morning, he is researching and doing work. But if I call you or text you, Nadim, at 11 p.m. from Trinidad, you respond. And I mean, you're in Lebanon, it's 7 hours. It's 7 hours
Yeah.
difference. So, I mean, a lot of times I would have asked you, what is he doing up this hour? You know, and you're always working. You know, you are a hard worker.
We
I
work
mean,
a lot. Yes, we work. We work a lot. Yes. We enjoy
so
working. Maybe we love our. We love our.
yes, yeah, you love
Mm,
your job, you love your
mm,
work. I can see that. I mean, that's you have to love it to be able to put so much into it because it's not always. I mean, it's not always for. You're not always going to get financial rewards, but
yeah. Mm,
there are other types of rewards that you get fulfillment from doing the things that you love, and
sure. Sure.
I see that with you guys. So, do you
Mm-mm.
know anything about your daddy's daddy as well? I mean,
Yeah.
you said he grew up in a middle class family. What part of Lebanon did he grow up in?
You know, Lebanon is very small
Yeah.
geographically, so they come from a village in the mountains, but they immigrated to Beirut because his my grandfather, his father, so had to go to Beirut to for job opportunities,
Okay.
and he had, I think he was a trader, but then he lost all his money. Like when
Why?
my father, I think he miscalculated. You know, back then the communication was not that good. You couldn't transfer money easily. You couldn't. You did not have good advisor in how you put your money and everything. So while my father was in his teens, his father, my grandfather, lost all his money, like everything.
Wow. Wow.
So my father had no choice other than to count on his skills, which was his. He was good in school,
Right.
so he had to get a scholarship to leave the country to do something out of of his life, you know.
Yeah.
So he did. This is what he did. He had
Yeah.
to work very hard, and he told me. My father used to tell me I wasn't I wasn't very good, but I used to work so hard that I compensated my lack of talent.
Wow.
That's how he made it. That's how he made it to École Centrale in France, which is a top
Wow.
engineering school.
It's a
And
top
then that's how he
engineering
got.
school.
Well, yes, École Centrale is with Polytech in France. They are the top two engineering schools in France. They're among the top 10 in the world, even engineering schools. Then he got his full scholarship in Harvard to do his PhD.
Wow. That's awesome. Did he
So
meet your mom at Harvard?
they got married in Harvard. I don't know if they met
Got
in
married in
Harvard.
Harvard.
Yes, but he no, they met when he came because he used to come in the summer,
Yeah.
every summer to Lebanon. I think this is where he met my mom.
Right.
She was a friend of his cousin.
Ah.
So yeah, this how they met. And
And still together
yes, yes,
after how many years?
they got married in 1971. No, 1969 or
Gosh.
68. Yes, yeah, my brother was born at 70, so obviously before they got married. So 1969. So it's 53 years.
Wow. That's a
Yeah,
long time to be with the same person, huh?
yeah.
You could do that?
I don't think so. I'm 43 now. I didn't get married, so something is wrong, I think.
You're so busy. You're already married. You're already married, Nadine. You're already married.
Yes, with my job.
You're
Yes,
married to your work. Yeah. So,
yes,
I mean, anything else, it's
yeah.
you're gonna have to make a decision. Um, but
You're right.
that is so interesting. That is so interesting about your dad, I mean, and he is a scholar. That's really impressive. So did
Yeah.
he take you to work at any point in time? Did you go to work with him and see him in action at work, or did you just see him in action at home?
You know, as a scholar, he's a researcher, so he works all the time. So when he's doing research home, he's working. So he really works a lot. He really works a lot. Um, I don't. He was one of the first people in Lebanon who brought Apple Macintosh. You know, the
Yeah.
all Apple Macintosh.
Yeah.
So he was already doing research on that
Wow.
back in the 80s.
Wow,
Back in the
that's
early 80s, yeah.
amazing. That's
So I
incredible, Nadim. I mean, so it's a family of achievers, a family of scholars, a family of hard workers. And
hard workers. I would go there.
hard
Hard
workers,
work.
people know, Nadim, people know your name and your dad's name because of how hard you work. I mean, honestly, it's something special. It's something special how hard you guys work. And I really admire. I admire you. I admire your
Thank
dad.
you.
I admire your family because you
Thank
are
you.
a hardworking family, and I love that you all are a unit, a team. It's very
Yeah.
beautiful. So, with all of that hard work that your dad worked while you were growing up, what was life like then as a young child with your dad being so hardworking all the time? How did you grow up? I mean, what was it like?
The first 10 years were very special because we had the Civil War as well. So, I remember the bombs coming beside my house. I remember. So this was very. It was difficult. It was difficult the first 10 years. Then we had other years that were very difficult. We had to immigrate to France. I had to adapt again. So the first I wouldn't go. I mean, the first 15 to 18 years of my life were pretty difficult because we had civil war, and then we had immigration. We were refugees for 4 or 5 years. Then we came back to Lebanon, and when I was 18, 19, I went to university. Things started to change, but I remember that we didn't have a lot of communication. I didn't. We didn't have. He didn't have time to communicate with us because between the civil war and his work, it was difficult to communicate.
Right.
When there is a civil war, usually parents try to hide the problem from their children. They will not tell them what's going to happen. So all I knew was bombing when I was a kid. I didn't know who was bombing who.
What did that mean to you? I mean, what does that mean to you?
Later, I learned the history of my country. I learned who was bombing who. But when I was a kid,
yeah,
seeing all these bombs, and we used to, in every building you have a shelter below the building.
Yes.
I remember we spent 2 months in the shelter in 1989 with 6 other families, 7 other families. So we didn't even know who was doing what, and I didn't know what was Israel doing, Syria doing, the pro-Americans doing, the pro-Iranian doing. I didn't know that. I learned it later.
Right.
So, yeah.
But your dad didn't have to go to fight in the war, because
no, he had to fight to feed his family. It was more difficult.
Yeah, that is more difficult. Yeah. That is difficult.
We didn't have electricity. We didn't have water. So I had to make the queue when I was 9 or 10. I had to make the queue to get water to the family, so we can take a shower, we can drink, we can cook.
You had to do the what?
Queue, make the queue because.
Make a line, make a queue, right?
Yeah. So we had to make a big line to get water because we didn't have water, we didn't have electricity. We used to sleep. We used to put the candles to sleep.
Yeah.
Or to during the night we used to put the candle. It was difficult. We had to cope with all this.
What did he tell you? Oh.
Nothing.
Wow.
What he has to say. And in 1990 we had to escape to go to Europe, to Cyprus and to Europe. I remember we walked between mines that could explode. Yeah. So and then we went to the port. We went in a boat that takes animals to half of the sea. Then there's another boat that came from Cyprus to take us to Cyprus, because it was too dangerous for the boat of Cyprus to come to the boat of Beirut. So I remember this, and I remember him. He's not a very strong man physically. He was not. But I remember him holding 2 big baggages of 20 kilos each,
Yeah.
walking between the mines and not complaining because he had
Wow.
to save the family. I was 9 and 10, and was 9 or something. Yeah, it was 10 or 11, something like that.
Yes.
So it was difficult. Then we went to France. It was very difficult because we had to adapt. I was a refugee. When I was a teenager, I was a strong head. I was so. I
Not
think you
only
know
when he
something
was a
about
teenager.
my teenage year followed me till my 20s, I think, and you know something
30s
about
and
that.
40s, yeah.
I started to mature when I was 35, maybe. So,
If you say so,
uh,
okay.
you know.
I'm just playing your people. Yeah, I'm just playing.
Uh,
Yes, he's
so when I was in my teenage, when I was in France, I used to fight all the time.
yeah,
So I didn't tell him because he had other issues. He had to deal with work, and
yeah,
we had to adapt to new environment. Being a refugee is difficult. I don't,
yeah,
I don't wish this to anyone to leave his
no,
country that is destroyed because you have, people talk about the wars in the news, but
yeah,
they don't know what people feel when they, when their house is destroyed, when they leave their country, when they miss
mm,
their country. The
yeah,
nostalgia is it can hurt you all your life.
yes,
So I left Lebanon when I was 11, and when I went to Paris, people when they hear Beirut, just see the news, the bombing, and
yeah,
everything.
yeah,
All I
only
want to do is
negative.
to come back to Lebanon. I
Yeah,
wanted to come back to Lebanon. I want to come back to my village, and
to
now I live in
home.
my village, to the village
Yes,
I grew up with. Yes, my home. So
yes,
this leaving your village is can. I mean, it hurts so forever, maybe. So that's why I never adapted in France. I never wanted to settle down in France.
yeah.
That's why I was a troublemaker because I wasn't very communicative. I
You weren't
wasn't easy to
happy.
communicate with. I wasn't happy.
You weren't
Yeah,
happy. Yeah.
and we didn't. I didn't communicate with my father. I was too young to communicate. He was too busy to communicate. He was too busy. We were in Paris. He had to go to Reims, another town. He
Yeah.
used to sleep in his office because to save money from having another location. So he used to stay 2 nights in Reims in his
Yeah.
office. Sometimes sleeping in his office
Yeah.
to save money from having another location. Then come back
Wow.
to Paris. So he had no time to communicate with me. It was difficult.
Wow. What did that do to you as a young boy?
I was very angry. I think you know that, and this anger. I mean, left me not a long time ago when I settled down. When I finished my PhD, I had my job in university. I started to calm down because I had so much tension and anger in me. It was difficult years of my youth. But I
Yes.
respected this guy. I respected my father a lot because he always keeps things to himself. Doesn't talk to
Mm.
anyone about the problem. He doesn't
And
complain.
that's
Maybe
something.
that's why he prays a lot. That's how
He speaks to
maybe
somebody. He has
that's
to
why he prays a
speak to
lot.
somebody. Yeah. Yeah. He has to
Yes,
speak to some because that's heavy stuff. That's heavy.
very heavy.
Those things are perhaps more too heavy for another human to bear. So that's why you have to have someone who's supernatural
Yes,
to bear it.
yes,
It
yes.
is heavy. And
I
Nadim,
agree.
I'm hearing you telling me about the effects. I mean, your dad was present. He did not leave the family, but then you didn't, but he wasn't communicative. So
Yes,
that in itself, it didn't give you what, as a boy, as a young child growing up, it didn't give you what you needed. Although he was there and you knew he was there and you knew he was working hard for you to provide, that part of us where we need that communication, we need that the extension of self, the extension of our humanity with each other, that was missing. And
yes,
for those of you Growth Radio listeners who are listening tonight, that is one of the reasons why we have this program, Who's Your Daddy? because we want to reiterate the importance of fathers, of their role and their influence, how significant they are to their children. You know, I know there are factions, there are groups that are trying to degrade the the value of a father, but it can never be degraded. God has placed a father in a home for a reason, and it is to be a protector. It is also to add value to the soul, to the crux, to the core of another human being, of their sons and their daughters. And without that, it leaves a very big void in children's hearts. As you heard Nadim say, that it only recently was resolved, when he got mature, when he got, more mature and more understanding. But growing up, you need what you need from your father. So I really want to encourage men. I want to encourage dads and dads to be, you are valuable. Those who aren't dads yet, understand your value, no matter what the world says. If it doesn't align with what God says, you could discard that. God says you are valuable. And this is what we say here at Growth Radio as well, because that is the truth. Right. So I really want to say thank you, Nadim, for sharing that. That is so, so important. What does it tell you? Okay, I've talked enough. What does it tell you about the value of a father? Is it just to be a body in a house? What does it tell you? Tell me in your words.
I don't know. We can talk hours about that. I think building a nation starts in the family. And I give this in one of my lectures when I talk about sport history, about foundation of physical education. I talk about the Romans, how they built their empire. The education starts with the father. The father teaches the kid the value of industry, of courage, of integrity, of hard work. That's how Roman Empire was built. Yeah. So father is parents are essential to build a society.
Yes.
So they're essential. I think okay, there is the love dimension from father to his wife, to the mother, but there is also a social duty when you're a father. I think you're contributing to the development of your nation. I think this is my opinion. I always see things in a like a governance thing. Maybe it's my deformation from my research, how to get a better country. I don't know, but fathers have big responsibility. I think I didn't get married. I don't know if I will get married, but I think I think I will be, if I am a father, I will force myself to behave well, because I have very big responsibility. I have nephews, so I try to make sure I'm behaving well so they can see a good uncle. So
That's
what
a
if
good
I'm their father?
example. Yeah. A good example. So, and that is a very important point that you made there, Nadim, because and I've said it before in other interviews, that even if a dad was not the best father, other men could be father figures to those children, and having a father figure, having a mentor, having someone that you can depend on, talk to about hard things, talk to about private things, it's essential. So did you have any other father figures? Did you have father figures growing up, Nadim?
I had coaches, I'm in sport, but and sometimes because my father didn't communicate, they were like the reference. But we have to, I think, young man, young woman, they have to be careful who is their reference, because sometimes when you're growing up and you're not communicating well with your parents, sometimes the reference is not good model to follow. And these things happen a lot. This happens a lot.
Too much, yeah, too much,
You
yeah.
look for a model because my father was really calm and always composed, always keeping things to himself. So I was looking more as to models who are street fighters, who are aggressive, who are physically strong. But if you dig down, these guys aren't that strong. They're
Yeah.
it's just a facade.
Facade.
Yes. So someone has to be careful about the so-called models that he sees in his life,
Yeah,
because they can take him somewhere where he can be misled.
that's true. There are good role
Mm.
models and there are evil ones. I can't say it any other way.
Yes.
They can take you down
Yeah.
a
Mm.
nefarious path. So it's
Yeah.
important to know and to do your
Mm.
research, just like you do research for everything. You need to do your research on the persons in your life as well.
Sure.
If it's regardless if it's a father figure, if it's a boyfriend, a girlfriend, it is important, especially now where information is, so widespread. We don't really have an excuse as to not
Mm.
finding out, asking questions, doing our research because our life and our life trajectory, our destiny depends on it, you know?
Yeah.
So
Yes.
I just want to say thank you to the Growth Radio listeners, those who are tuned in. If you just tuned in to us, we are here at growthradiott.com. We are doing the program Who's Your Daddy? This evening, we have Dr. Nabil Nassif with us. He is a scholar, among other things. He's a lot of things. And but most importantly, he is the son of Dr. Nabil Nassif, who is also a scholar. And we haven't heard about your mom. I know this is a story about your mom, but we should recognize your mom. So who is your mother?
My mother. My mother is an artist,
She
and
is
she's very different from my
creative.
dad.
Yeah.
Very different.
What is your
Uh,
mom's name? Call her name.
Norma, Norma.
Yes.
Yes, she's a special person, special character. Very exuberant. She uh, she likes to give her point of view, uh, but she's very nice. I learned to appreciate her also at a late age.
At a late
Uh,
age.
yes, but she's very funny, very. She's different from my father. She's not a scientific. She's an artist. She
Yes, she's an
paints.
artist. Yes,
Yeah.
a very prolific artist at that. She's
Mm.
actually very good. So, what did you learn from seeing the interaction between your dad and your mom?
Uh, at first, if you see the communication with someone not talking and someone yelling, like my father not talking and my mother yelling, you say how this couple is working. But then they've been married for 53 years, so obviously it's working. So
Something's
don't judge.
working in their favor. Yeah.
Yeah, so don't judge a book by its cover. So
Yeah,
maybe it's a solid relation. So there is a lot of loyalty since it's working.
it's
So they're both very
incredible.
loyal. They're both
Yeah,
very loyal,
yeah,
and they both had to cope with. I mean, I had a brother who passed away, who was sick when he was
yes,
a child.
yes.
They had to cope with the civil war. They had to cope with immigration. They had to cope with being refugee. They had to cope now in their late 70s with the economic
Mm,
crisis, and things are good. They still live together.
yeah.
They have their own patterns. So I think it it teaches you that maybe in certain couples, when things don't look good,
Yeah.
but they're just good if they're still together. At one point they're finding their balance. They're happy, I think.
You think?
So maybe someone, I believe, because they're always together.
Yeah.
They're 7 days a week together. Sunday they
Wow.
come to my house
Yeah.
together. Then
Yeah.
they go. They're always together. Uh, they're always together. So
Yeah.
it's working.
It's amazing because they built a life together. They went through the good again. They went through the good, the bad, and the ugly together. And
Sure.
nobody, as you said, they're very loyal. They didn't, and
Yes.
it's so much like the person that I know, the person that I was my best friend for so long, is is a very loyal individual to anybody. I mean, it doesn't matter who you are. He's going to be a friend to you. And that's what his name means. Nadim means a friend, and that this individual that we are interviewing today, that is what he has proven himself to be. I mean, we have known each other for 20 years, and he has never not been a friend in the most pure sense of the word. He has been a friend, and I see where a lot of his traits come from, those noble qualities of loyalty, of fidelity, with a friend, and that hardworking quality, those qualities, I see where it comes from, Nadim. And I'm sure your parents must be very, very proud of you. I am proud of you. I know I've said that a number of times.
No.
Even before you had all these accolades, before your name and all of that, blah, blah, blah. I was very proud of who you are. You are a friend. And so what do your parents say? What does your dad tell you about all that you're doing, all of your accomplishments?
It's difficult. We don't give compliment easily. He doesn't give compliment to himself, and we don't give compliments easily. But I know that he's appreciating this. I wouldn't feel
Yeah.
good if he gives me a compliment. We in our family we don't give compliments easily.
Okay.
This is how we are.
It's a culture, yeah. That's your family culture.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a culture. Yeah, it's
So
also
you
it's a national culture.
what?
No, I don't think it's a national culture. It's a family culture. It's in the family. We don't
Yeah.
give compliments easily.
Okay, okay, yeah, that's okay. Well, that's your family home, and
Yeah.
it's different, um growing up, because again, my mom, she worked very hard for her family as well. My dad left us when we were very young. And so my mom had five of us to raise on her own. How she did it, Lord alone knows. Um, but we also didn't have that connection, that emotional connection, because she was working so hard. She just couldn't have the time. We were just trying to survive. Right. And
Yeah.
but um where I learned to be a little softer was when I met you and when I was at that master, because you guys forced me to be more human, right? Because I was very much to myself, really prudish and like standoffish and whatever.
No, no. You're the nicest person ever, but it was hidden
It was hidden.
by
Yes.
by a cruel so-called person, which is completely facade. Completely,
Right.
completely
Right.
facade.
Yeah, but you guys knew how to break through that. You didn't take on that. They completely ignored that and like, well, whatever, Charisse. And they were just friends. They were just brothers. They became my my brothers. They protected me. They defended me. And I really appreciate Nadim and all of the others that I met while we were at school. We went to school together in Europe, right? And if I didn't get that scholarship there, would I have ever met you? I mean, I'm wondering, like what 20
Maybe
years
through
friendship?
football.
I don't know. I don't know.
Mm, mm,
It's difficult to say because of how
yeah.
things aligned then.
Mm,
Um, who knows? Who knows? But what I can say is that I'm glad that it did happen that way, and that I did meet you and the others. There were 23 of us in total. 6 girls, 6 ladies alone. And only 2 of us were from the Caribbean, one from Puerto Rico and myself from Trinidad and Tobago. And, you know, I really am grateful to have met you guys. I'm grateful to have met your family, you know, when your family came to our graduation. You know, your dad, he was like, he came, he was de facto my dad. You know, I took him up as my dad as well. I mean, I really do love
so highly of you. He speaks so highly of you all the time.
Wow. God bless his heart. You know, I do love him. I do love your family very, very much. And, you know, I'm glad that he was in your life. And I'm glad that he showed you so many noble characteristics of how to be a man. You know, none of us are perfect. None of our family members are perfect.
True.
But my God, Nadim, after going through all of that and still going strong, that's quite a man. That's quite a daddy.
True.
That's quite a daddy. So if you were to break from tradition, Nadim, to break from the culture of the household that you grew up in, and you were to say something about your daddy, you were to tell your daddy, Daddy, this is how I feel about you. This is what I think about you. What would you say?
Thank you for teaching us politeness, humbleness, resilience, hard work, modesty. Thank you for everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you'd be happy to hear that. Why don't you tell him sometime?
Why should I tell him? I mean, he knows.
Why shouldn't you? No, it's just, you know, it's just like having a girlfriend or a woman, and you know, you're doing all these different things for her. You're buying flowers, everything that she likes, but you never tell her to her face, darling, I love you. You know, that woman she's going, there's going to be a void in her heart because that missing that puzzle piece has not been placed in the right place. You know, you have all the other pieces of the puzzle except that one that's needed to complete it. And it's the same with a lot of other relationships. You know, yeah, you're doing the things and in your head, you know, they know, but it's also valuable to say that, to say it. Just like, you know, you were talking about you growing up and you didn't have that communication with your dad, and it caused a certain amount of anger and bitterness, right? Because of that. So, you know, how much is it going to take just to tell your dad that?
A lot. Now we're arguing about politics, so why change the subject?
Asking. No, I'm just asking because you know, it's life is short.
True.
Life is short. And one of the things that I fear is regret. You know, having regrets of not doing or saying the things to our parents or those that we love before they disappear, because I mean, thank God for the long life that he's blessed your dad with.
Yes.
However, reality of life is it comes to an end. And we don't know when it's gonna happen, you know. We don't know when. But it's good to say it. It's good to say it, you know. And I mean, we've said it to each other. I've told you many times how much I love you. And because I do. And you know, it's good that our parents know. I mean, even if you might not be a speaker, you could write it, you could text it, you know?
Yeah.
It's just, I'm just, you know, that's my thinking.
You're right. You're right. It's difficult to change for 40 years of
habit.
Of
Yeah,
culture.
That's a habit. Yeah. It's not. It is a lot. It is a long time to be doing, to have that culture. but we
Yeah.
are able, we are humans, and just like you had to adapt to your different life situations, we can learn new things. We can
Sure.
learn new behaviors, you know, and you all at the master, you all taught me new behaviors, you know, so it is not
Yeah.
impossible. It's not
Sure.
impossible. I think one of the reasons that the barrier was broken in terms of communication, etc., was because you guys loved me, you know. It just love was the that was the deciding factor. That's what made the difference. Simply that you all just loved me for me, you all took care of me. I was the only Trinidadian, the only Black person as well. And, you know, you all took care of me just like your own sister. And I really appreciate that. And that's what broke the barriers. So I want to say thanks again. I appreciate all of you. I appreciate you, Nadim. I appreciate your dad. I appreciate your mom. I appreciate your brother. And I've not been able to meet your nephews face to face, but you know, I love them even without having met them as yet, you know. And I
Thank you.
think your dad did a good job. From what you said, given all that has been thrown at him, and he's still standing, I say hats off to you, Dr.
True.
Nassif. You know, senior, Dr. Nassif, senior, you know, hats off, hats off. And
True.
so any closing words, Nadim? What else do
You
you
you you you, th- you thanked me for being there for you. I'd like to thank you for being there for me and for everyone. You're such a special person, and I can see this in this show. You
and we wanna we wanna thank Nadim. I think we've lost him a little bit. I think, and I mean, it's this isn't a comedy, but you know, it's only in those shows when you know you want to hear the best part of what somebody has to say, and then and then the electricity goes out. That just happened. We just lost Nadim for quite a bit.
should I speak again?
I don't know what you said. We lost you. We
Okay.
lost you.
So you thanked me for being there for you. I would like to thank you for being there for me. And you're such a kind and gentle person. And this show is really the personification of what you are. It's all about giving, about kindness, about. I advise all the followers of this show to really follow you, because you're such a genuine and nice person, and I think you can bring up the best from everyone. So that's it.
Wow. Well, thank you very much, Dr. Nassif. Thank you. That's very kind of you to say. I don't know. I'm not sure if we know the same person.
No. I'm sure of what I'm saying. I'm sure.
Okay. All right. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. So, if you were to become, you know, you said earlier that if you were to become a dad, I mean, that you would force yourself to be a better human. And I love that about fatherhood. You know, it makes you even more selfless. And I mean, people who might not know Nadim is already a selfless person. But having a child causes you to think about life differently. And it brings a different measure. It does something to your entire being, you know. So do you want to be a dad someday, Nadim?
I don't know what to say. Maybe being a dad is cool, but I need to get married first, and we need to find a partner that would accept me, or I should accept her. I don't know. So I don't know how to say about that.
Interesting. Interesting. That's interesting, Nadim. I know a lot of people, it's either at this age, at this stage, they would have decided whether or not they want to have a child in their life. It's interesting. I think I would like to see another you. I would like to see, that legacy of hard work, those noble characters, passed on. I know you're doing that. I'm hoping I know you're doing that with your nephews. But I would love to see more of you as well. So
Maybe.
so I want to say thank you to Growth Radio listeners. Whether or not you become a dad or not, Nadim, we appreciate you. We appreciate your dad. Thank you for coming on to Growth Radio to talk to us about your daddy. We admire him. And now you've given us even more reason to admire him. I admired him before, but even now it's even more pips, even more. It's raised. My level of honor and admiration of him has raised even more. So I want to say thank you, and I want to say thank you to all Growth Radio listeners everywhere for joining us this evening, on Who's Your Daddy. We have been talking to Dr. Nadim Nassif, whose daddy is Dr. Nadim Nassif Senior, and we want to say thank you for these individuals. We thank God for them, for giving us this gift. They are gifts to the earth, to the world. Their contributions have been very valuable in terms of nation building and sport management building. Check them out. You can check them out. Nadim is on Facebook. Where else can people find you, Nadim?
LinkedIn.
On LinkedIn. So LinkedIn,
Yes.
Facebook, where else?
That's it.
That's it. Okay. Thank you, Nadim. Appreciate you being with us. So
ResearchGate Academia as well. ResearchGate and Academia. I forgot.
Okay. So because if you want to do any talks about your work, they can reach you there, right? They can look for you.
Yes, sure.
Wonderful. And I know your daddy is very, very proud of you, just as we all are. And I want to say thank you to all the Growth Radio listeners for staying with us. This has been Growth Radio TT, Who's Your Daddy program. We are here every Sunday evening from 6:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. Join us. Join the discussion. Let us know what you think about the program on our Facebook and our YouTube pages. We'd love to hear from you. I want to say thank you. And until next time, bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye, Nadim.
Bye. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes, my daddy's the best.
Growth Radio is growing with a new program, Who's Your Daddy? Every Sunday evening from 6:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. Daddy business. Who's Your Daddy? Every Sunday, 6:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. on Growth Radio, growthradiott.com.
This is a message to the saints. The table has been set, so take your place. There is no more condemnation. There is only grace. Growth Radio, Gospel Radio. Our way to heaven. We are sons and daughters of the King. We are sons and daughters of the King. Growth Radio, Gospel Radio. Our way to heaven. One king and one kingdom making people feel like family.